Hey everybody, this is Robb Ryerse, alongside with Dan Deitrich. We are here on a Monday morning, a Victory Monday morning, to talk some news and politics on the Common Good podcast. Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing great, and you are all browned out. You got your Browns hat, a brown shirt. I don't know if it's official, but you got your victory mug there.
Yeah, it's a big day for the anytime the Cleveland Browns win a football game. It's a big day.
It's worth celebrating.
Yes. So I'm happy to have my Victory Monday mug, which I was really hoping to be able to use last week, but gave that one away. But I'm using it this week, and looking forward to using it again next week when my Browns beat your Chicago Bears.
We'll see about that. My Bears squeaked out a win. They almost gave up a huge lead, which is kind of the Bears thing to do.
Yeah.
But they held on. And
Yeah. So as a Browns fan, you have to celebrate when you can, because it's not called the Factory of Sadness for nothing. But we're here on the Common Good podcast, and I'm here in not outside of Fayetteville, Arkansas, like Doug always said. I am firmly within Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Right in there.
Exactly. And Dan, you're coming to us from South Bend, Indiana. Those of you that are watching on Facebook or are part of one of the streams, we would love to find out where you're from and say good morning to you. We are glad that you're along. We've got a lot to talk about today. There's a lot going on in the world of politics, a lot going on in the world in general.
Yep.
And we are going to take the opportunity this morning to have some conversations about those things. As a reminder, our fearless leader, Doug Padgett, is on a bike somewhere in Arizona right now.
That's right.
The We the People ride is ongoing. It's really an amazing thing that's happening. There's Doug and others are riding along the southern border. Hey, got somebody listening in from Rogers, Arkansas. I got a little Woo Pig Suey in the chat. Oh my goodness! Hey, Arkansas is representing.
I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, that's a Woo Pig Suey for our 16th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. Yeah. Doug is riding along the border and bringing some attention to the need for there to be a common good immigration and border security policy that guides us. The border remains an unsolved problem, and it seems to me that it has become a pretty big political football that has been kicked back and forth, and both sides want to use it for their advantage rather than solving the issues that exist at the border. And Doug is down at the border collecting stories along with a team of folks, and collecting stories and trying to bring some attention to the need to have a common good border policy and immigration policy. And for no matter where you are in the country, if you would like to participate, if you'd like to join in the ride, you can do that. There's information at wethepeopleride.org. You can do that actually going and riding along, or riding kind of virtually in wherever you are. And you can also support the efforts that are taking place. And then on Tuesday nights, which is why the politics podcast has shifted to Mondays for the time being, on Tuesday evenings, there's a report from the team that is riding on all of these same channels. And we would love to have you check in on that and learn all about what's happening at our southern border. From people you can trust.
Yeah. And tomorrow I'm actually hopping on a plane and heading down there myself. I might make it in time for the Tuesday night debrief. We'll see. But then Wednesday I'm jumping on a bike and joining the fun. So going to be telling stories from there. And
how long are you going to be riding for?
2 weeks. So I don't know how many miles that is, but more miles than I've ever traveled on a bicycle for sure.
Yeah. Are you Have you been training? Have you been getting ready?
I have been, yeah. Yeah, so I've
Yeah.
been sneaking in some rides when I can, 2 or 3 hours at a time. And
Do you have any? These are the questions people want to know. Do you have any special gear? Have you gotten like some special, you know, pants
I
to make it
yeah,
more comfortable?
I definitely got the pants with the pads. I heard that
Yeah.
was a must. So I got a big old butt pad.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, for those that have seen Doug's videos from the tour, from the ride, Doug's wearing like this, Tour de France style, you know, uh, wind breaking, uh, zip up, kind of. I don't even know what it's called, bike outfit. And sometimes he'll unzip it because he gets hot, and then shoot a video live from the bike, and we all get to see Doug's chest, which is really fun. Dan, are you putting on one of those biking suits?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Seriously?
Well, see, I got the shirt. I got a shirt mostly because I wanted a high vis, like very bright, so cars see me, and hopefully I don't get hit by a car. But it also zips, so I might have to, join the club there with the. Oh, it's getting a little hot. You're gonna see a little more Dan.
Don't tempt us beyond what we were able, Dan.
But the
Are,
shorts were too far. My shorts look like normal shorts. They're not skin tight.
it's really a shame that I'm not participating in this. I say kind of sarcastically. Dan, when you say you've been training, how long have you ridden a bike consecutively to this point? Are you up to like a mile and a half now? Like where are you at?
Getting real close to 2 miles. No.
Yeah.
I did like 24 miles the other day, which is the
Okay.
most I've ever ridden in one
Yep.
go.
And less than half of what you'll have to do in a
Right.
day.
So feeling good.
I
But
can't wait for
here
the
it's
report.
mostly time constraint. Like I just don't have 5 hours to be on a bicycle,
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids.
Dan, it's been great doing this podcast with you. Everybody, I'd like to announce that this is Dan's last podcast ever, because
He's not
sure
coming back from this.
He's not coming back. Oh goodness. Well, that's really great. So where are you going to be joining the ride geographically, and then finishing up? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm getting into Arizona. I forget which town we're starting the ride, and then going to like El Paso, I think.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Well, that's wonderful. We look forward to hearing the stories that you bring back with you. And, I went on a Vote Common Good border experience a couple of years ago. It was not on bikes, but it was life-changing and eye-opening in so many really remarkable ways. Well, listen, we are here to talk about what's happening in the news, what's happening in politics, and Dan, there is, like there always is. It's like the news fairies just drop stuff into our laps. There's always stuff to talk about. There's always things going on. From the most frustrating to the most ridiculous to tremendously concerning things. So why don't we begin with January 6th.
Okay.
If you listen into the Vote Common Good, the Common Good Politics podcast, you know that I absolutely refuse to move past January 6th. What happened on January 6th was an insurrection against our government, our democracy. It was a spoiled brat loser of an election, and his little minions, inspiring them to storm the United States Capitol, threaten the lives of duly elected leaders of our country, and threaten our democracy. And it is a shameful moment in American history.
Mm-hmm.
And it must never be like just swept under the rug like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
And so, just like I am refusing to forget January 6th until justice is done, including Donald Trump being charged with inciting an insurrection. So too, there are those who are refusing to forget because they see those folks who have been arrested and are being held for their role in the insurrection, their illegal activity on January 6th and storming the United States Capitol. They're calling them political prisoners.
Yeah.
Political prisoners. People who have been jailed for their political views and being held for that. And we've heard this kind of rhetoric from, Madison Cawthorn, the congressman from North Carolina. We've heard this type of rhetoric from Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia. And this, so, one of Trump's former campaign officials organized a Justice for J6 rally in Washington, D.C. this weekend, trying to communicate support for these quote unquote political prisoners who are being held for their crimes that they committed on January 6th. And Dan, January 6th, there were thousands and thousands of people that showed up for the Stop the Steal rally that led to the insurrection, was, where the president incited the insurrection. Not so great of a turnout here on Saturday for the folks.
Slightly less enthusiasm, yeah.
Justice for J6 inspired about from reports about 200 people.
Yeah, I heard
so just slightly less than the Trump inauguration.
About 10 reporters per participant is what I heard.
Yeah, I saw that tweet too.
More people taking pictures of the thing than the thing itself.
And I gotta wonder, of that 200, how many do you think were FBI
the whole
agents? Thing. I mean, it's got to be half of them, right? Yeah. It's got to be half of them that are undercover FBI agents. Because if you think that, and there were reports, during the lead up the week before this event on Saturday, and it's a little much calling it an event. This little kind of gathering that took place. There were reports that there were like credible threats of violence that the FBI and the Metropolitan Police, the DC Police, the Capitol Police were all taking very, very seriously. Similar types of threats and chatter, as they say, as they heard before the January 6th event. So while they did not take that seriously, maybe they have learned their lesson and are now taking this seriously. And so you got to figure there. I mean, right? We've all watched enough TV shows to know that like the FBI like embeds people in these kinds of things. And so you think, okay, if they figure there's going to be thousands of people showing up, they're not going to have 3 agents. It's going to be a bigger force than that. I think I will probably never know. I'm willing to say that of the 200 people that showed up on Saturday for the Justice for J6 event, 100 of them were FBI agents.
If you're expecting 10,000 people, 20,000, 100 agents makes sense.
I mean, that might even be low, But I think, and we talked about this a little bit last week when we talked about I've been observing this shift in strategy that's been taking place where the focus has moved from, for conservative Republicans from the Supreme Court to school boards. Like the new battleground for the culture war is school boards. And this particular article that we're showing here on the screen for those of you that are watching on Facebook or Twitter or one of those places, kind of makes the point that, part of the reason why people didn't show up is because, the big national rally is not the strategy right now. The focus has shifted elsewhere. The focus is on local races, things happening in, particularly school boards, things happening in local areas where, these folks who believe in these conspiracies and, um, um, those who want to overthrow, our democracy are actually going to use the levers of democracy to do that through local races, and that's a concerning thing. It's like elections matter. Elections matter.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder too, I know that tactics have shifted, strategies have shifted, and we've seen energy around school boards and stuff like that. I also just wonder if, on a broader scale, people are tired of the big lie. They're tired of the sore loser, like complaining about the stolen election that verifiably wasn't stolen.
Yeah.
And so do you get a sense that not only is it shifting tactics, but it's less enthusiasm and people are ready to move on?
Yeah, um, I think that the Trump fatigue is setting in. I was actually on a call with a group of kind of political strategists last week, and we were having a conversation like, we all throughout the Trump presidency, even before the Trump presidency, when Trump was a candidate, we all kept waiting for the backlash, right? We kept waiting for the fatigue to set in, for there to be some sense of like, no, 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 this isn't right. Like, this is ridiculous. We're going to, have some kind of backlash against this. And it never happened. And we continually predicted, okay, well, this is going to cause it, or this is, well, the Access Hollywood tapes, or, the shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue, like, all of these things we kept expecting that they would cause the backlash, and it never happened. I think it's gonna happen. I'm Charlie Brown with the football here, like, and Lucy just keeps pulling it away. I think that we could be on the brink of a backlash against Donald Trump. One is, the just kind of general Trump fatigue setting in. If he has not done a great job now, and I am personally terrified of what happens when, and folks that listen to this podcast know, I'm personally terrified about what happens when Trump comes out with the Save America Political Action Committee and nominees that, are running for office around the country are Trump Republicans, and have that kind of loyalty and have that kind of attitude and have that, everything that goes along with the Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz wing of the party. But Trump doesn't have a great track record in terms of endorsing candidates and them winning. Mm-hmm. And there's a number of things that way that happen. And then, when he does stuff like, telling people at his rally that, he got vaccinated and he thinks they should get vaccinated, the vaccine's good, and, he gets booed from his own supporters. Yeah. I think there's just a number of things that could set in where, there's a certain amount of Trump fatigue and that ultimately turns into a backlash. But, I'm just a complete and utter optimist. So, maybe that's why I think that way. Maybe it won't happen, and we're going to have to continue to deal with this stuff unendingly.
Yeah, I hope people get tired of it and want to move on to something else. People don't like a sore loser,
this is true. I mean, one of my favorite T-shirts from not that I ever owned it, but one of my favorite T-shirts from the 2000 election was the sore loser man. Do you remember that one? Instead of Gore Lieberman, it said sore loserman, which I thought was a fantastic T-shirt.
Well, speaking of less sore losers that are trying for a comeback, should we move to Texas?
let's move to Texas. I like that little transition. That was pretty smooth. Yeah. So yeah, speaking of political comebacks, Beto O'Rourke is gearing up to run for governor of Texas. You know, keeping maybe Matthew McConaughey at bay, who is flirted with running for this position, and others have flirted with running for this position. Beto now looks like he is going to throw his hat in the ring and try to unseat Greg Abbott as governor of Texas. Dan, what's your initial reaction? What's your gut feeling when you hear Beto is going to try yet again?
I just can't imagine Texas as a whole deciding to pick any Democrat, and so I'm hopeful. I think there's enough frustration with the current governor, his mishandling of the power grid, for example. Mm-hmm. That's something that affected everybody in Texas. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of frustration there, but I just can't see it happening. How about you?
Well, there's the kind of cynical part of me that thinks back to that I was a Vanity Fair article that Beto did, interview that Beto did, where he, talked about how he felt like he was born to be president. And then that didn't work out. So now I guess the consolation prize is governor of Texas. I think Texas is a state that seems to have been moving. It was one that there were a lot of folks who thought it could be in play in terms of the last election. It's a state that was solidly red that seems to be moving more purple. And then, we get some of the craziness coming out of Texas, like their new abortion law, the way that they have handled mask mandates in schools. And Greg Abbott is somebody who has elicited a lot of anger from people in his own state and frankly from people around the country. So I think, a couple of things from this. One is this will be a national election. Money will flow in support of both Beto and Greg Abbott from around the country. It will be the type of election that stays, high in the national profile, throughout the election cycle. I think that enthusiasm is one of the most critical components of a winning election. You've got to be enthusiastic about your candidate or enthusiastically against their opponent. If you don't, if there's not some kind of emotional inspiration that happens in people, it just becomes less important to them. And so I think the events that have taken place in Texas, it seems like the enthusiasm will be more on Beto's side than against him. And so I don't know. I want to be optimistic about this. I don't have a super clear sense of all of the demographics in Texas. But I think that this is going to be a really interesting race. I wonder if Beto loses, is he done? Like, is this like,
what point do you have to win something as a politician to keep going? Yeah.
So I think that, I think that, this could be the nail in the coffin for Beto if he loses, but I think frankly, there have been, I've heard a lot of names thrown around, and there's been a lot of speculation of people who are going to run. I think that, I think Beto probably has the best chance of any Democrat. I mean, he's not like He's not super inspiring to me, personally, but I think he probably has the best chance of any Democrat against Greg Abbott. But Ann Richards isn't walking through that door, so we'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the enthusiasm, that's something Beto can harness. I feel like even if there were a path for a more centrist Democrat, there just wouldn't be the excitement about that. So even if people were like, in theory, I could stomach someone closer to the middle, you're just not going to get excited about that and get the turnout you need.
Yep. Yeah. So there's there's a lot to watch. Something else that we need to keep our eye on is this bills that are making their way, theoretically making their way through Congress, and through the Senate. And, as we continue to have the president's agenda, locked up in political infighting in Washington, D.C., we've got an infrastructure deal that is locked up. We've got voting rights bill that is locked up. We've got the Build Back Better agenda and spending plan that is locked up. Part of that includes a path to citizenship, addressing immigration concerns as a part of this spending bill. And the Senate parliamentarian, Dan, ruled that the elements of this bill that include a path to citizenship for particularly those affected by DACA and the DREAM Act, can't be a part of the bill.
Yeah, I didn't even know what a parliamentarian was until fairly recently. I thought we got rid of the British, But here we have this person who is like, nope, you can't do this.
Yeah, this is the referee. This is the umpire. This is the the little geek in the corner who knows Robert's Rules of Order, who are saying, and I don't mean to say anything.
Probably
I'm probably going to get in trouble for using the word geek or something. Yeah, but essentially, this is a person saying, "Hey, listen, no, as I read the rules, you can't do this," and so,
and in one sense, it makes sense. Like this kind of workaround to getting around the filibuster, like it wasn't meant to craft policy like this. It was meant for budgetary things. And so I kind of get it, but
what's frustrating is because the filibuster exists, because Joe Manchin is gutless, because the filibuster exists, you can't have it's so rare to be able to have a straight up debate, up or down vote on these issues and on these things. And so clever legislators try to slide stuff in, weasel around the rules to get stuff accomplished that needs to be accomplished. What this illustrates to me is how fundamentally broken. Well, I don't. That might be too strong of language, but how messed up the system is.
Yeah.
That because of the filibuster, because Joe Manchin and at other times it's been others have holding the whole process hostage. You can't get an up or down vote on these important issues. And so, could the Senate, outvote or, overrule the parliamentarian? Yeah, they could. But they're not going to, if they won't take the steps to,
right.
take care of this stuff in other ways to get rid of the filibuster. They're not going to take the steps to overrule the parliamentarian. This isn't the first time that the parliamentarian has has scuttled legislation that the Democrats have wanted. There was a reconciliation bill, and so what happens is the House passes a bill, the Senate passes a bill, and then they have to reconcile those two bills. They're not. They're not identical, and so they've got to reconcile. They've got to put those together, and then those go back to the House and the Senate for a straight up or down vote on that reconciled bill. So the reconciliation process introduces the opportunity to tweak what was in the bills originally. And the Democrats have had plans in the past to use that reconciliation process to accomplish their agenda, because they can't get a straight up or down vote on things because of the filibuster, and the parliamentarian has ruled against them in the past as a result of that, and they refuse to overrule the parliamentarian, keep going with their plan. Same thing is happening here again. Sadly, this isn't just a procedural kind of thing. It actually impacts the lives of thousands and thousands of people living in our country,
right.
Through the DACA program. And so, it's just another one of these frustrating things where I worry that while like in the past, Republicans have, been known as obstructionists, during the Obama administration. It feels to me like Republicans don't even need to obstruct all that much, because
Democrats are so good at doing it to themselves.
They just keep tripping themselves up, over parliamentarian rules and filibusters, and Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. So it's just, I don't know, another one of these things to watch and to wonder, how is all this going to turn out?
Yeah, it's very frustrating. And like you said, it's not just like a budgetary thing. This is impacting the lives of a generation of kids that, their fate has been in limbo for decades now. And it's become this political football instead of real humans that we need to do right by as a society. So
yeah, absolutely. So a couple final stories to talk about, both related to the vaccines. Dan, it looks like, well, let's save the good news for last, and try to end on a high note. Dan, do you have a lot of anti-vaxxers in your life?
I've got a handful, not super vocal, but they're there.
Yeah, me too. It seems like one particular anti-vaxxer is in the news this today, because he has announced that his name is Cole Beasley. He's a wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, and he has announced that any Bills fans who are not vaccinated and want to go see a game, he will pay for their tickets when they are playing in stadiums that do not require vaccinations to go. The Buffalo Bills have required that to attend a Bills game, you've got to be vaccinated, and leaving the the unvaccinated folks out in the parking lot, jumping, launching themselves through tables as Bills fans are known to do. I don't know if you know about this trend, Dan,
No.
but Bills fans go, like they're backyard wrestlers or something, launching themselves through tables in pregame out in their tailgating parties. So that's what the anti-vaxxers, the unvaccinated folks, have to do. While the vaccinated people are able to go in and watch the game and watch the Bills play. And Cole Beasley, who himself is an anti-vaxxer, and is unvaccinated, wants to make sure that his fans aren't left out. His unvaccinated fans aren't left out, and he basically said, "Hey, if you're going to a game and aren't vaccinated, slide into my DMs and I'll pay for your ticket." Dan, what do you think about this?
Well, you can't do that for home games. Is that right? Because
that's right. Yep.
So it's like away
This
games.
is a reaction against his own club, who had the policy that you've got to be vaccinated to come to a game.
It just seems a lot easier to get vaccinated. I don't know. It's just there's so much like energy spent working around getting the life-saving vaccine that protects you and others. At this point, I just don't understand it.
Yeah. And And to that point, Jim in the comments said that, he had a friend who was not vaccinated, who got the vaccine on his way into the Raiders game in Las Vegas.
Nice.
So he could go to the game, which is awesome.
It's a little incentive,
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is frustrating to me for a number of reasons. One is, we're going to, we've had all this, prove that you are vaccinated, this, counterfeit vaccination cards, market, all of this talk. Now, like, how is Cole Beasley going to prove that somebody's unvaccinated? I mean,
I might become unvaccinated if it means a free ticket to an NFL game,
Yeah, I mean, is he gonna, put keys on people, and if it doesn't stick, then he's not gonna pay for your ticket? It's a little joke there.
Picking up what you're throwing down.
Vaccine's gonna make you, be magnetized. So, I mean, this was just frustrating because on the face of it, this is, to use the word that my kids have taught me, performative. A word that I don't think I had ever heard before, maybe a year ago. This seems this seems like, hey, look at me. I'm going to be the cause celeb of the unvaccinated folks. So that's frustrating to me. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I'm super frustrated, and if you read this, this particular article and others, there's a couple other teammates of Cole Beasley's that aren't vaccinated. And if you read down through the article, what his teammate says is, I don't really know too much about the vaccine. I don't really know, but I'm a Christian and I believe that God has a plan for my life, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. And I am so frustrated by
the bad theological takes
that people think that the Christian position is the unvaccinated position. That the Christian position is to be anti-vaccine. No. The Christian position is to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself, to do what you can to protect other people, to do what you can to look out for the best interests of other people. And that is to get vaccinated and to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Like, that ought to be like, the Christian position ought to be like, hey, we love our neighbors, so we're going to do everything we can to protect them. And this pandemic has killed 1 in every 500 of our neighbors. Yeah. So we are going to do everything we can to bring it to an end as quickly as we can. That ought to be the Christian position, not this, I'm going to, make a name for myself because, God has a plan for my life. So I'm not going to get vaccinated. It's,
They will know we are Christians by our love, not by our anti-masking conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Just another reason not to root for the Buffalo Bills. But you gotta, like, I do this whenever, I gotta, you got to be really careful if you're a football fan or a fan of any team, drawing those kinds of lines, because, tomorrow there'll be a story about how somebody on your team did the very same thing. And, so you can't get too high and mighty when it comes to your sports fandom.
Right. Yeah. And I can imagine this being like bad for just team cohesion at a very practical level. Like, you have these sorts of discussions in the locker room and people getting mad at each other. And what happens when one of these unvaccinated
Yeah.
guys gets COVID and has to sit out a couple weeks, and other
Yep.
people have to quarantine.
The New Orleans Saints this week were without 8 of their coaches because their coaches were exposed and had to quarantine as a result of that. Now, my team, the Cleveland Browns, won a playoff game with their coach in quarantine, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was one of the most glorious days of my life. But the Saints were without 8 of their coaches on Sunday, and they got blown out by the Panthers as a result of that. This isn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad for your team. This is bad for what you're trying to do. You get your quarterback sick, you get your your teammates sick, you get your coaches sick, and your team's going to be in trouble in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And Cole Beasley, in the process, is simply trying to score points not on the field, but with the unvaccinated,
Yeah.
around the country, and it's frustrating.
Yeah. But meanwhile, like you said, there is some good news because
there is some good news.
We're getting closer to approval.
Hope and help is on the way for
Yeah.
parents who want their kids to be vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like, according to Dr. Fauci, that this fall we are going to have the opportunity for kids 5 through 11 to get vaccinated. Pfizer has made the recommendation that they're ready to move forward. Hopefully Moderna and Johnson & Johnson will as well. And it sounds like we are very close to kids ages 5 through 11 joining the ranks of those who can be vaccinated. Dan, how does this story make you feel?
Yeah, this is great news. My 12-year-old is already vaccinated, but I've got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and that's what we worry about, like with school and other public places, is like all the unvaccinated, anti-vax people could make my kids sick. They're still unprotected. So I'm glad to have this coming down the pipeline to offer a layer of protection to them as well.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I live in Springdale, Arkansas, which is the largest public school system in the state of Arkansas, that had a mask mandate that our school board last week allowed to expire. They had a temporary mask mandate, school district wide, and they allowed it to expire last week, paving the way for thousands and thousands of students to be even more exposed to COVID-19 by being unmasked in the classroom. And it as a parent of a unvaccinated first grader whose 7th birthday is today, I'm going to be heading over to Party City to get some decorations when we finish the podcast. It's really, really scary to think, somebody, Cole Beasley's kid might be in my kid's classroom. And, there's, hey, you can make decisions for yourself, but the decisions that you make for yourself impact other people. You could get my kid sick.
Right.
And just, in the process of doing what my kid's trying to do, just go to school and, learn and grow. And it's so frustrating, and it's terrifying as parents to consider this stuff. And so, the thought that, very soon we can make an appointment to get our youngest vaccinated, so everybody in my family then would be vaccinated, is a huge sigh of relief.
For sure.
Yeah. And so, it will no doubt spark another round of arguments and conversation about, vaccine mandates and whether it's safe and all of that. What ultimately we need to do is trust the science, love our neighbor, and do the thing that we're supposed to do which is, to get vaccinated. And
Yeah.
I frankly look forward to, when my kid is able to get vaccinated. I feel like I'm going to sleep better once that happens.
Yeah, for sure. And
All
I'm
right.
always losing my keys. It'll be nice to have more kids to just stick my keys to. So more magnetic objects around me. It's gonna be great.
Fantastic. Yeah, the more magnetic children you have around you, the better. Listen, well, Dan, you are taking off.
Yeah.
Like later today. You're getting ready to go.
Yep.
And we will miss you. Have a great time. Don't go over the handlebars. Don't
I'm gonna do my best.
We want to see any great road rash pictures. We expect to see those. And just as a comment to Becky, we understand that vaccinated people can still contract COVID-19 and might be able to spread it. The point is that the vaccine dramatically, many people it protects, and other people it dramatically reduces the impact of COVID-19 on you in terms of severe hospitalization and death. Like, it protects you from this from this thing. So anyways, but we all know that. I don't want to get into that again. I want to laugh about the thought of Dan going over the handlebars and head first into the Arizona sand.
Hopefully
have a great time, Dan. We will miss you. Give our love to Doug and encourage everybody to. Is there a podcast? So tomorrow, check in all these places tomorrow evening to find out about the We the People ride.
Yep.
And then the rest of the Common Good podcast will be coming your way throughout this week. And then we will be back next Monday, probably with me flying solo, which that's
you're on your own.
A scary thing.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see you on the other side.
Have a great day.